Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm-mm. We are back and we are live. Masters and Podcast, episode 213. And we are here. We're live. And this is actually going to be kind of a celebratory episode, in my opinion, because this is going to be our last remote episode. This is my last week away. I will be coming home by the weekend. So, I'll be back in studio. So hopefully you guys will carry this celebration with us and subscribe to the channel. So real quick, guys, we thank everybody that's jumping in live, everybody that jumps in live, participates in the chat. We appreciate that as always. And is my mic muted? Is that on my end?
No, you're good.
All right. So, Masters of the Known Podcast, episode 213. Thank you to everybody that jumps in live and watches and joins the live stream. Okay, good. Thank you, Big O. So, again, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up, hit the notification bell so that you guys never miss an episode when we go live. And, yeah, if you don't find us, or you can't watch the video version rather, and you want to listen to the audio version of the podcast, you can find us on your favorite audio podcast listening platforms at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Store, Stitcher, Podbean, iHeartRadio. But if you don't find us on any of those main ones that I listed, plus more, Berto's going to let you know what you can do to let us know.
Join the Discord and harass us until we place the podcast on your obscure podcast listening platform. With that being said, I feel like we can begin. And no, you weren't going crazy earlier, Justin. What that was is that I must have had a power outage. So there was a reset on the board, and I wasn't having the listening portion on, so I couldn't hear you in my headphones. So I just went back and I had to just adjust some settings. But now that we got that out of the way, first things first, we'll go through the personal stuff, and then we'll go straight into the juicy news segment, because the truth is that we got a lot of stuff to talk about today.
Yeah. I mean, so where should we start? Should we start with the housing market still sucks. So if you own a house and you bought a house recently, that's how I feel about you. Nothing personal.
Yeah, I don't feel personally attacked at all. I'm just gonna say I don't feel personally attacked at all.
Yeah, I kind of, I'm kind of salty, and I hate all homeowners in this moment. But we are gonna, we're gonna get past this. We're gonna get through this. We're gonna go Trump 2024 and fix all this stuff. Just kidding. But look at that, real quick. You're getting some love in the chat here. You people saying that you should do audiobooks.
Oh, thank you.
Got a silky voice, ASMR style.
Thank you, Big Up. You know what's funny is that Justin consistently makes fun of me when I change my voice in any way. When I put on the audiobook voice, Justin hates it. He doesn't like it.
No, it's not that I hate it. I actually find it very funny. It's just it's your thinking cap voice when you're like, I kind of happen to know shit about this. So
no, you know what I think? You know when I think it comes in? When I want to make like a clear point, because I feel like it's like easy to understand. So I'll talk like a little bit slower and a little bit lower, because the monotone also prevents people from getting kind of too crazy when they're talking to you crazy. You kind of just like, you lower your tone. So it's like, listen, we don't have to yell at each other. This is
I get it. I
mean. But going to the housing market, that brings me to something that I know you wanted to talk about. There's a lawsuit going on with a company, and I think, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is an AI company that created software to assist landlords in figuring out how much they can charge for rent. Does that seem correct?
Yes, I think shout out to Spaz. He actually shared that in the Discord, right?
Yes, Spaz. I think Spaz posted in the Discord, and it's an antitrust lawsuit. And essentially, what they're alleging is that they're allegedly alleging that this company is in cahoots with the landlords, and they're rising prices through the roof. where that's not actual. I guess they're saying it's not actual fact. It's not actually factual, right? The numbers that they're giving out are inflated and causing, raising the market value of these places and causing these renters to pay more than they should be.
Yeah, it sounded when I read it. It seems like what the lawsuit is based around is that this app is allowing landlords to collude with each other and property owners, like investment property owners, to collude with each other and keep rents high, thus eliminating the ability to shop around for potential renters. So, if let's say complex A is charging $2,500 for a one-bedroom apartment, and you want to go check out complex B because it's usually a little more affordable and it used to be 1900, while now those two landlords are connecting through this app and being like, oh wait, you're charging 2,500, then I'll charge 2,500 too. So it's kind of getting rid of the whole competitive aspect of renting property to tenants.
Yeah, and this is a huge thing because a lot of people rent, and obviously with the election coming up, it's already something that Kamala has addressed. Did you see her addressing this the other night?
I don't know. Was she unburdening the burden that's been burdened over the unburdening of the burden from yesteryear? Was it one of those things?
Wow, was that a direct quote from the exact article I was referencing?
Oh, well, she's always talking about burdening what's unburdened, and the burden of burdens that were burdens from yesterday will not be burdens from tomorrow.
She essentially just addressed this whole entire situation in very vaguely, but kind of said, that things like this won't happen. She's going to unburden us from this burden of AI burdens. Yeah, I don't know. Back to the apartment thing, the rent thing. In recent times, I've thought that rent is absolutely ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. People are paying the same amount of rent that I was paying as mortgage for my last house. It's crazy. How is it that people have? So my last house, I don't think this is like inside information or anything like that, but people were paying. I'm not even gonna say my numbers, but people were paying like $2,000 mortgages, right? And there were people who bought, even before me, or bought houses that were cheaper. They got $1,500, $1,600 mortgages. How is it that you have people on one side of the table who have a $1,500, $1,600 mortgage, right? And then you have the other side, somebody who's renting, and they'll rent a studio and be paying $2,000, $2,500. I know somebody who has a one bedroom right now that pays $2,300 a month. And I'm like, holy smokes. How does that make any sense? How does that even allow for any room for this individual who's renting to then, put, money to the side to get into the housing, market, to join the homeowners club? It almost like holds you hostage in this never ending cycle of renting, which if it's something that you wanted to do, I guess it's not bad, but you still, even if it's something that you desire, you don't want to be a homeowner. You most certainly don't want to be overpaying in rent.
I agree, and I'm actually one of the people in that boat. So, the desire to purchase a home and be a homeowner and kind of access kind of that what's considered to be one of the markers of the American dream is being a homeowner. I can't ever figure out the math to make that make any kind of sense. I've been paying rent, and not to mention my rent has gone up $1,000 in the past 4 years with the same apartment. $1,000.
I didn't even know that.
It's not. Yeah, it's the same apartment. Nothing's different. They haven't made any upgrades. If they upgrade my apartment, if I go into a unit that's been renovated, like they renovated a bunch of the units, as soon as somebody moves out, they renovate it, and they then charge $2,800. So I'm like, leave my shit the same. I'm getting screwed either way. At least this way, they're using some Vaseline for your boy.
Yeah, facts.
You know what I'm saying? But anyway, we could talk about this, all day. I just don't understand it, and I don't understand when people have children and then have to pay daycare. I mean, daycare costs people $2,500 a month. Dude, so you're talking about $2,500 for daycare, $2,500 for rent. That's $5,000. and you haven't even had any food or heat in the house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you haven't put no water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't got FiOS. You know, you're at that point, you don't got internet, a phone, anything. You know, you still got to pay for all that stuff on top. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. It's not like, and I wonder, like, what, you know, when apartments, what's like, I guess different apartments are for different purposes, because I'm trying to think of like, what's the overall like intention of an apartment? Is it a temporary thing? Is it intended to be a temporary thing that people just use as a permanent solution? Or is it something that, you know, can kind of, you know, work in both directions? And I'm sure that its inception was intended for one purpose, and it's kind of molded into this dual purpose thing where some people do stay there forever and some people stay there to, you know, until they could put some bread aside and get a place. But it's so expensive that people can't even do the latter anymore. They can't put, I hope I said that correctly. People can't even do that anymore. They're you know, they can't put any money aside. Just like you said, $2,500 on rent, and then daycare, $2,500. Daycare is so expensive that when you talk to couples who where just the husband or just the wife works, I'm kidding, just the husband works, they'll say, hey, we don't have daycare because all the money that person A or person B was making was all going to daycare anyways. So we were just like, hey, how about I just don't work and stay at home and raise the kids myself, because my whole check was going to daycare. Like, I've heard that
I have a
many
friend
times.
that did that exact calculation. Husband and wife both working, and then when they sat down and did the math, her salary was only covering daycare.
Crazy.
So they just elected for her to stay home.
Crazy, dude. Crazy.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's nuts. But this is what I've started doing instead. Is I'm like, okay, the market is crazy right now. There's no way I could buy a house. So, you know, what I'm doing instead is I'm taking the difference of part of, let's say, what my mortgage would be, because now there's no $2,000 mortgages. Mortgage is $4,000 now. Mortgage is $3,500 now, at least where I live. That's with a 20% down payment. You're paying a $4,000 mortgage. So, you know, let's say my rent $2,200, right? Now, let's say, you know, of course, if I could sit here and have $2,000 extra dollars, I wouldn't have an issue. I'd be able to easily, you know, save up at least some money over the course of a year or two and, you know, have a nice cushion for a down payment. But I'm taking part of that, you know, like over what my rent would be, and instead I'm putting it in the stock market. Yeah. So I think that with that is allowing me to at least build some kind of wealth, at least in the short term, until the housing market clears up. And then, you know, from there, I'll do what I have to, whether that's extract from my retirement or whatever for a down payment, you know?
Yeah. And real quick, I just want to catch up on the chat. Chris is in here. Chris says rent is a scam. Big Gulp says no OnlyFans. We're not talking about any stay-at-home dads. Let's be real. Yeah, no, I know that was a joke. It's funny enough. There's this TikTok that's a TikTok account, I believe, that's like gone viral, of this dude who's like a stay-at-home boyfriend. I think his girl's like a nurse or something like that, and he just stays home and plays video games and like chills. I watched one of them today, and his day consisted of, he's like, I usually go to bed around 3 a.m. Because I'm playing video games all night, and then I go to bed. My girl wakes up at 5, and their whole house has like cameras on it. Have you seen this, Justin? The whole house has cameras.
Yeah, I
so you get
have.
to see
and he's
the
like, I'll
videos.
play video games, and then I'll go outside, and then I'll take a nap.
Yeah, dude, it's the most ridiculous shit. I swear to God, I hope it's satire, because it's the most ridiculous thing. The girl gets home, and he's like, can we?
He's like, I text her what I want to eat, and then she brings it home.
He's like, she just came home for breakfast. It's 10 a.m. Usually she makes food, but today she brought me McDonald's. Yay. And dude, she gets home, and he's like, hey, honey, I swept the back deck like you asked. And she's like, oh, great job. And he's like, you think we could get pizza? And she's like, yeah, pizza? You want pizza? Domino's? He's like, yeah. I was like, oh, this lady has a kid.
Yeah, I think, but see, I don't believe anything on the internet. I think that they know they'll get nothing but rage engagement on there. It's going to be a bunch of girls mad at her. You're lame. A bunch of dudes like, yo, that's wifey. It's just going to be a bunch of crazy engagement, and you can then leverage that into dollars. So I believe very little of what I see on the internet now, no matter what it is. I don't care if it's politics. I don't care if it's related to the shman shmemi or whatever.
And all engagement pays equally. So whether it's positive, negative, or in between, it all pays equally. Chris says, going back to our rent conversation, there's a beautiful, rich, muscular woman that needs a stay-at-home dad. I'm a fast learner. Just saying. You know, there has to be. I don't know if these things. It's probably so far and few between that you have like that dynamic where there's a woman who enjoys a man who stays home. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's not as rare because you got a couple homies, just like I got a couple homies who are getting taken care of. Or back in the day when they were younger, they're getting taken care of. Maybe that stuff ends. But dude, I used to have a couple friends who, you know, these guys I'm talking about, they show up in like a new girl's car like every other week and you're just like, yo, whose car is that? It's like, oh, some girl I'm dating. And they always got a cell phone and somebody else is paying. And it's like, you wonder how this person lives life, but he's just like going from woman to woman. And for whatever reason, I don't know what these guys have, but these women are like, sustaining them like financially.
Yeah, but in my experience, everybody that I know that's had that happen for them, they're all pigs, all these girls.
Yeah, oh yeah, 100%.
They're all they're complete and total pigs. Like it's, you know, either they're just gross or they're filthy or, you know, or they're nasty. It's like, you know, it's just they're like threes. You could get yourself a nice three that'll pay all your bills and stuff like that because she's a three. That's the trade-off. You know, if you're willing to do that, if you're willing to watch this girl eat Big Macs 3 times a day and her car has got 45 water bottles on the floor and shit, and it, you know,
water,
then yeah, water or, you know, whatever kind of bottles, you know,
Monster
are
energy
back there.
drink.
Yeah, Monsters and, you know, old French fries under the seat and shit like that. And they got 2 car seats in the back of 2 kids that don't even know each other, but they're both hers. You know what I'm saying? Like it's, yeah.
That's so funny. Listen, man, it's a give and take, and with what we're currently discussing, which is, you know, record high rent levels, sometimes, you know, you got to make sacrifices.
Yeah. No, I get you. Look, Chris is in here. He says, any threes out there need a stay-at-home dad? I'm still available. Lots of offers. Definitely apply soon. Got to be rich though. Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you, Chris. If you find any of those, man, listen. If they need 2 sugar daddies, yo, come on, man. We get bunk beds, bro. It's all good.
That might be a good move, you know.
Or 2 stay-at-home dads. I can't be a sugar daddy. Wait a minute. No, I'm trying to save for a house.
Yeah, no,
I meant to be the. Would it be like a sugar poppy? Like what would that be?
Yeah, you'd be a sugar poppy. Yeah, you wouldn't be a sugar baby. I don't think you'd be a sugar poppy.
Yeah.
You know, it's so crazy. There's like there's whole websites dedicated to this, right? But I know it never goes the opposite direction, but there's like websites where you can go find women who are looking to be taken care of. And like you can take care of them.
Yeah, those are what they call them, like sugar babies. I know you know, Fresh and Fit always used to have these girls in there talking about them.
Yeah, dude,
you know?
Isn't that crazy? Now let me ask you a question. If you were a woman and you were like, dude, there's so many options, bro, between selling feet and being a sugar baby, I don't care what anybody says. I know we always go down this road, but it's like, man, what I was gonna say is, if you had the option, like which one of these seemed the most enticing to you, you know, being a sugar baby, going on Feet Finder, or opening up an OnlyFans. But either way, I feel like you're destined for success as long as you're attractive in either one of these routes. We haven't even mentioned, like, you know, anything that requires any work effort. All these 3 routes lead to, you know, some form of temporary success with very little investment.
Yeah, I mean, what I would do if I was a woman, man, I would try to stay as fit as possible, and I would just try to be a good wife.
No,
there's always going to be a place for a woman if there's always going to be a guy looking for a good wife that's willing to raise his children and willing to be a good, you know, a good loving partner and mother to his kids. That's always a thing. You know, you're never going to attract a woman just because you be a good dad. Be like, listen, man, I played baseball, played basketball my whole life, do jiu-jitsu. Like, you know, I'll be a good dad to a son. You know, I have a sister. I'm good to my mom. Like, you know, I'd be good to a daughter. Like, that's never going to work. It's a different kind of thing. You can't sell that concept, I don't think. But
Yeah, that's
You know,
100% true. And also, I think that that's a difficult one to sell because, when women are in their prime dating age, men don't really care about that. Like, when they're young. I don't think young men think about that. I think that's a thought of an older, of somebody who's, not, I don't think anybody's thinking about that 18, 19, 20. I know when I was 20, in my younger 20s, um, man, I was not thinking about how good of a mother you'd be. I was hoping you didn't want to be a mother, to be honest. That's what I was shooting for. Broken heel, that's a plus.
yeah. I mean, listen, yeah, yeah, man. I've definitely gotten to that age. When a woman that's maternal and she's seems loving and she'd be like a good mother and she's soft and that to me is way more attractive than the little hot toddy that's wearing a little dress or something like that with her girls walking down the street like I'm over that, man. That's not. I'm good on that. The one that has the advertisement on her back that's like, hey, look at me. Like, man, I'm good on that. I'm good on that. Everybody else is looking at that too. I'm good.
Speaking of like parenting, I want to get your opinion on this next topic I wanted to talk about. There was a Austrian surgeon. Well, first things first, there was an Austrian man. Austrian man was out on an adventure. Something happened to him. He needed to be rushed to the hospital, and he needed to get emergency surgery. They fly him into they bring him over to the university, and the surgeon performs his surgery on him, and everything goes good. But for whatever reason, that day the surgeon's daughter came to work. Speaking of good parents, I don't know. Do you think this is a good parenting move or not? For whatever reason, the surgeon wanted his daughter to participate in the surgery. So he brought her in, and he didn't just let her watch or anything like that. He had her perform the drilling of the skull. And she did it. She did a portion of it, or did as much as she did. The article I read didn't say if she she did the whole time. She performs the some of the drilling. He does the surgery. Everything ends up good. The man survives the surgery. He doesn't die or anything like that. But is that the power dad move? Your dad's a surgeon. You started doing surgeries before, or is this guy crazy?
I mean, that guy's an ultra piece of shit. Number one, he's a terrible dad. I mean, I hate when I'm at the brewery and people got their feral mongrel children running around and unsupervised, picking up shit, moving shit. I was trying to shoot pool the other day at this beer garden, and there were pool balls missing. So I go to the guy. I'm like, hey, there's like no number 3 here, and there's 312 balls here. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, oh, people bring their kids, and their kids just like take the balls, they throw them under the couches and shit. I'm like who does that? So that pisses me off. Now this guy, that's the most gentle parenting bullshit I ever heard. He brings his kid in to drill in some guy's head. What is that? That's crazy. That guy should get to have his kid drill the doctor's head.
But it sounds like she did a pretty good job. This guy survived.
Yeah, well, that guy's about to lose his medical license if there's any kind of oversight over there in Austria. That's number one.
Funny enough, this happened. When did this happen? I have it here in my notes. Incident occurred in August of 2024. So
which is this month.
I think that's when they found out. Actually, I don't think that this article, my notes are correct. I think that's when they found out. This surgery happened earlier this year, and nobody said anything. And then there was a whistleblower who reported this to the team who oversees these kind of things, I guess. And then they did an investigation. The media picked it up, and that's how the guy who it happened to found out. After it hit the media, the police call him, and he's like, "Yo, like, is this me?" And they're like, "Yeah, that's you, man. He had his daughter drill into you."
Yeah, he was immediately like, "Oh."
Yeah,
100%. Meanwhile, he's been chilling. He's back to work. But,
yeah.
Dude, that's such a crazy malpractice. That's battery. because that's the unlawful touching of a person without their consent. So, for him to allow that, that's crazy. That's a violation of informed consent, the stuff that guy signed, about the risks and all that kind of stuff. It's supposed to
Mm-hmm.
be a surgeon, it's supposed to be a physician. That he's going to sue the hospital for lack of oversight. How did that guy? He's not alone in that OR.
No, he's not.
That shit is full of staff. There's nurses. There's probably PAs, maybe NPs. There's techs in there. There's OR tech. There's all kinds of people in there that are witnessing this. So all those people are going to be named in that suit.
Yeah, there's a
That
housekeeper in
guy's
there
name
pulling
is
out the
going to be
red
on that
bag.
hospital. What?
I said I made a joke and I stepped on the end of your sentence, so it wasn't funny. But I said there's a housekeeper in there emptying a red bag.
Yeah, facts. I do want to pause real quick and say what's up to Saif, man. Saif is in here, man. One of our viewers from across the pond.
Yo, what up, Saif?
So he's in here, but yeah, that's a crazy idea. And by the way, I don't want to say that. I want to just get back to, I'm not saying that you can't bring your kids somewhere like a brewery or, a beer garden or something like that, because I actually had a very pleasant experience with a family the other night where the kids were interested in, me shooting pool and stuff, and they were asking questions and stuff, which I thought was great. The parents were good, set limitations on the kid. They're like, wait your turn and stuff. Like, like come over here, sit with me, and I'll explain to you what he's doing. It was very good parenting, just allowing the kid to watch like he wants to watch, but he wasn't bothering me, getting on the table and taking the ball in the middle of my game. And I offered the dad multiple times, if he wants to play, I'll sit out. He could play with his kid. And he's like, no. And then later on, the kid came up and asked if he could play. I was like, of course you can. I was like, play with your dad. And he came over and was like, did he ask politely? So he kind of did this parenting thing where he sent the kid over to ask if he could have a turn to play.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was brilliant. Like those are not the kids that are the problem. It's the little shits that run around just making a mess of stuff, tearing stuff up, throwing chips all over the floor. And then parents just gather up these little cretins and take them with them. So that's what I was referring to. But yes, that guy should lose his medical license.
Just to touch on what you just said, honestly, when you originally said that, I don't disagree with the fact, and not that you said this because you kind of just stated that that's not what you what you intended to say. I don't think you should bring your kids to a brewery. I don't think you should bring your kids to places you plan on drinking.
I agree to a point, but there's definitely, both parents don't have to drink,
Yeah, I guess. All right. So then that's the little caveat, I guess. Yeah. So like, but even so, not the places you're going to be drinking, because you're going to go to family parties, people are going to be drinking there. But this place, like a brewery, I don't, when I think of breweries, and keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not a drinker. I don't drink at all. And I don't go to these places really. So I'm not, well versed in breweries. I know they've been jazzing them up lately and putting chairs and picnic tables inside of them. And now, people go there and they have a good time. But that's a bar, right? And we shouldn't bring our kids to the bar. So I know that, they made an outdoor seating area. Bring your golden retriever. Sure, he's cute. But leave your kid at home. I don't know. That's just, I don't know. I don't think you, I don't know. Don't bring your kids to the bar. And that's what breweries are for the most part. They're where they make beer and serve them.
Big Gulp agrees with that. Don't bring your kids there. And he said, leave your dog at home too. I bring my dog to the brewery because my dog's well behaved.
People
so
do.
My dog. What?
No, go ahead.
I bring my dog and she's well behaved. She just kind of chills out on the side and stuff. And, that's it. But I hear you though, man, because there's an argument for that too. I mean, I think just most breweries are, I don't know why that's the culture of breweries. They're pretty open they're kind of family oriented. They're also not open late like a bar. They close typically 8:00, 10 the latest, but yeah, I can't disagree. But when I have kids, they might be coming with me.
It's like the people who bring their kids on wine tours. They go to the wineries.
Yeah, that's tricky too, because they have attractions for kids. They usually have slides and swings and games they can play, stuff like that, because it's kind of an all-day thing. You don't go to the bar for 5 hours usually. You know, you go to the bar for 2, maybe 3 hours, you know, maybe watch a game or have some drinks with your friends. Like, but, you know, when it comes to those kind of outdoor spaces, I feel like people tend to stretch them out a little bit longer. But yeah, there's definitely an argument to be made to not bring your kids there. I'm not having somebody reference this episode when they see me out with my kids in a few years at the brewery. So that's why I'm getting this one out.
I don't think you would. I don't think you would. I think that there's adult events and there's children events, and that's not like one that like combines them both. I think that if you go to Six Flags and have a beer and you have your kid with you, that's not a big deal.
Yeah, I mean that, you know, that makes sense. I mean, it's definitely, it has to do with like the social acceptance of alcohol, right? Because people wouldn't be okay with people bringing their kids to, let's say, like a hookah spot or something like that, or bringing their kids to a place where, you know, where there's, you know, I don't know what you would call kind of a smoking space where they allow cannabis and stuff like that in certain states where that's allowed. I'm sure that's not allowed. But for some reason, alcohol is a little different. I mean, they serve alcohol at Applebee's, you know, and you're
Facts.
definitely bringing your kids with you to Applebee's. You know, you
Yeah.
might have a beer with dinner. So
So the difference is that the sole attraction of some of those places is to consume alcohol as opposed to a place that's, you know, the intention is for families to come and enjoy dinner and the parents have the option to enjoy a cocktail. I think that when these breweries and wineries come into play, like the sole attraction of these places are for people to come and consume alcohol. Yes, the winery did put a slide there because people keep bringing their badass kids, but I don't think that anybody comes for the slide. And I'm not, you know, I'm not attacking you on this.
no, you're right. Actually, it's the main attraction of a brewery or a beer garden or a vineyard or, you know, a winery. Those the sole attract. I mean, it's in the goddamn title of the place.
Yeah.
You know.
Big Gulp says, bring your kids to Hooters. Dude, my dad used to bring me to Hooters. I want you to know that my parents didn't follow these didn't have the same beliefs I had, right? So,
Yeah, I always wanted my dad to take me to Hooters, but he never did.
yeah, my dad used to take me to Hooters, make me very uncomfortable with the waitresses. But, you know, it was, in hindsight, I suppose it was a good time.
That's funny.
Yeah, my
But
dad
should we
used.
get into some of these topics? I know we had a lot of stuff to talk about.
Oh, we have so much stuff. Go ahead. You got something?
I wanted to kind of shift gears over to this tech, some of the tech news that came out. I don't know if anybody saw that letter that Mark Zuckerberg wrote to whoever that is, a chairman of, I believe it was the Democratic Party. Did you see that?
You know what, when you wrote it in today's notes, I hadn't read about it, so this is the first I'm hearing of it.
All right. So what he did was, because you know there was a lot of speculation during the 2020 election cycle and stuff like that when COVID was happening, and also the Hunter Biden laptop, just a whole bunch of stuff that people were claiming, and mainly the right was claiming that these things were being suppressed.
Yeah, the
And
silencing,
we all
right?
know, I mean, what?
The silencing.
The silencing, yeah, the, you know, the suppressing of information, not allowing certain things to come up, shadow banning accounts. I mean, we had episodes taken down on podcast platforms because we just mentioned the word COVID, you
Facts.
know, or mention the word vaccination. It's like these algorithms that were just picking up certain terms and then removing episodes.
That's where
So
Justin's Schmemick and Schmaxine came from.
exactly. So I mean, I can read some of this letter if anybody is interested in it, that Mark Zuckerberg wrote. So he wrote this to this gentleman named, I hate these cookies, man. Stop with this shit. I don't want you putting cookies on my computer, you dirtbags. Fuck off with these cookies, bro. Get out of here. So sorry, guys. Here, so he says, the Honorable Jim Jordan, Chairman, Committee of the Judiciary, United States House of Representatives. So he says, Chairman Jordan, I appreciate the committee's interest in content moderation on online platforms. As you are aware, Meta has produced thousands of documents as part of your investigation and made a dozen employees available for transcribed interviews. further to our cooperation with your investigation. I welcome the opportunity to share what I've taken away from this process. So he goes on to just kind of discuss that he regrets essentially caving to the pressure and then censoring certain users on Facebook, on Instagram, and he admits that this information was suppressed, whether it was even satire, he mentions. So in 2021, senior officials from the Biden administration, including the White House, repeatedly pressured our teams for months to censor certain COVID-19 content, including humor and satire, and expressed a lot of frustration with our teams when we didn't agree. Ultimately, it was our decision whether or not to take content down, and we own our decisions because they did. They did take stuff down. So he's saying they were pressured a lot, and due to the pressure, they caved and actually did remove a lot of content. So he says, I believe the government's pressure was wrong, and I regret that we were not more outspoken about it. I also think we made some choices that, with the benefit of hindsight and new information, we wouldn't make today. Like I said to our teams at the time, I feel strongly that we should not compromise our content standards due to the pressure from the administration in either direction. And we're ready to push back if something like this happens again.
Wow.
So I think that's huge, right?
That's enormous, dude. I remember when this happened, we were talking about this, of course, because we've been doing this for that long. When this was happening, we were talking about it, and I remember you expressing your frustrations in all of tech and how, like, essentially alluding to these tech, leaders being spineless, and allowing, stuff like this, just allowing the silencing to happen.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, man. I think that he might be trying to get ahead of something here. I think he even said that he made a huge contribution financially to the Democratic Party, and he will not be making a contribution like that again. He wants to stay neutral. He's like, I don't want to be involved with the right or the left. I don't want Republican, not Democrat. I'm going to ride the middle. So, I mean, that's what he should have been doing the whole time. I think he's realizing in hindsight that he's going to be on the wrong side of history here. And I think there's probably some whistleblowers bubbling in that company that are about to drop some shit. I think that he's scared that there's going to be a Republican president in the next cycle and that he's going to uncover all this stuff. So he's trying to get ahead of it. I mean, Jack Dorsey got caught up with this, with Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I mean, damn, anything's possible. You're right. It could be going. He might feel like it's going in the other direction, and they're gonna then people don't forget. Especially Trump, who was, the one who was affected probably the most from the silencing, the guy who was, whether you agree with him or don't, they made a valiant effort, and it's, to some people's opinion, succeeded in deleting him off of the internet, removing his
they
voice.
removed him. I mean, it's crazy, but there's also, I think this goes hand in hand with that Telegram thing that's going on right now.
The Telegram thing's kind of crazy. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, this just goes hand in hand because the censorship that was, forced upon Meta for Instagram and Facebook by the government is a crazy concept. And you're like, man, Mark Zuckerberg kind of, he folded and stuff, which maybe he did, but I don't know what it's like to have the goddamn president of the United States sicking people on you to pressure you into doing something.
Yeah, dude, the Secret Service is calling you.
Yeah, that's got to be, terrifying. So just for something else going on in kind of this tech space is the CEO of Telegram. And if you're unfamiliar with Telegram, it's pretty much a competitor in the space kind of with WhatsApp. It's a social networking messaging site as far as I know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Anybody in the chat and YouTube, Berto?
Yep, so, it's like WhatsApp. Yep. Yeah,
the CEO, Pavel Durov, he is, he's worth like $15 billion. He's super paid, and he is the CEO of this company, and he was pressured by the government to kind of allow them to build a backdoor into the app. And he had a similar response to what Apple had a while back when they said no as well. And that was having to do, I believe, with a terrorist attack, the Apple holding off on giving that backdoor access. So this guy says no, and the reason that he states no is, you guys know better about cybersecurity and tech than I do, but he's like, a backdoor, cannot be created because it really can't be controlled at that point. There's kind of a flaw in the coding, and it will allow, you can't just limit it to use by some people and other people not be able to access it eventually, right? So, you know, and him saying that, I was like, that makes sense. And besides, like, why should I give you access to my platform, like to the back of my platform and all my users? That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So what ended up happening was he went and traveled to France, which he has a citizenship in France. You know, he had originally made an app in Russia, and Russia was giving him pressure, same kind of deal. You know, they wanted him to suppress information that was speaking against the Russian government and stuff, and he didn't really want to get involved in that. So eventually they were pressuring him so much, he just abandoned the app, left it with Russia, and he just left. And that's when he created Telegram. So when he gets to France, they arrest him. So he's actually in custody right now. And what they're charging him with is kind of complacency in illegal activity that's taking place on his platform. So they're stating that there is stuff, you know, regarding children, adult content I think there's even human trafficking kind of stuff, like a whole bunch of stuff that, you know, similar to Silk Road. People are just using the platform for negative purposes, and now they're blaming the CEO for it. So, you know, he's in custody right now, and I don't know what this means for, number one, free speech, number two, you know, being able to have any kind of online discourse or any kind of online contact with people without the government thinking they're entitled, to accessing it. So I don't know. What say you?
I think I think this is like one of those classic like government moves where they say like, oh, we're doing this for the children. Like there are, you know, children being blank schmafficked. And they're using this app to you know, to coordinate and, you know, and harm our children. It isn't this app's fault. You know, these people, if they pull Telegram down, they're going to use another application to communicate and, you know, do their things. I don't think that, you know, Telegram, the CEO of Telegram, should be forced into giving these guys, you know, the back door, as you said it, to their application where they could essentially do whatever they want, have access to all your user data. You know, where does it end, right? Where are you doing? Is that even their true intention, or is that just what they're telling the public so that they can hold this guy hostage? Is there other things that they're looking at that are going on in Telegram? I get it that they don't like the fact that they can't see in there, but that's the name of the game. You know what I'm saying? You can't. This is also not America where this is taking place, so you know it's difficult to say what they can and cannot do. But I can most certainly say that I don't agree with it. And I think that there's other ways that they could, you know, get to their goal without, you know, essentially holding this guy hostage.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird, right? Because, you know, I don't know if you know this, but there have been, you know, kind of simulation sting kind of things run to see what's up with Instagram. And Instagram has been proven to 100% have some kind of underground culture of people that are trafficking in people, in, you know, inappropriate child content, stuff like that. They've run simulations, like government agencies have run simulations and have found that to be true. There are Meta employees that knew that was happening, and it wasn't addressed until it became a widely known story, like a very big story. So why not Zuckerberg, and why this guy?
Well, that's what,
you know, it's because Zuckerberg plays by their rules.
Yeah, and I think that that's one of the things that they're looking for. It's like they also want to, like, you know, with when it comes to Zuckerberg, since, you know, the outing of like what's going on his website, I think that they're making valiant efforts to remove that stuff from their site, and they're dedicating more resources to pulling this stuff off of their site. I think that even when it was going on, like they had some kind of a team, or, you know, people who were dedicated to removing like all the inappropriate stuff off, but they didn't have like the appropriate amount of people allocated to the task. And, you know, because maybe they didn't see the value in it. But then the government gets involved and says, hey, people are using your tool to do a bunch of illegal stuff. You got to fix it before we fix it. And they're like, all right, never mind. You know, we're going to get it together. And that's when, you know, the government they do their audits. And, you know, they better pass. It's like the phishing emails, right? It's like they're just testing you.
Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy that technology has gotten to this point, and social networking or social networks and just this online world has become so vast, and so many people are involved in it. Everybody's got a username, everybody's got a profile. So, it's just kind of, we've all essentially given the government a way into our lives, right? By having these platforms, by having our emails linked and on our phones and all that kind of stuff. I mean, the terms that we agree to that none of us read, these things, all kind of play into this.
Well, even before social media became big, if you're like a child of the internet, then you will most certainly remember like being on online forums. And online forums were the social media before, like, MySpace or Facebook or, Instagram, LinkedIn, any of those. Like, those were, the only difference was they were, segregated by interest. Like, this forum was for car enthusiasts, and that forum is for, black market heroin, and this forum is for this or that. So, I feel like kids like that, were people like me who kind of grew up on the internet. We've always been a part of Big Gulp just said it, subreddits. Yeah, even before Reddit, there's all these different forums that were dedicated to all these different activities. And I'm sure if you go back, like, there was forums that were dedicated to terrible things. Now people are just making their way, just like everything grows. Nobody uses forums anymore. Now they use, like, centralized social media platforms. Now everybody's on these places, and the same people who were on those forums, now guess what? They're on this. They're on these websites.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I think this is something that, because I always feel a little bit about both sides. I'm like, man, if something crazy is going on, like, we probably should intervene.
Yeah,
You know,
100%.
but then where does it stop after that? Because that's always my thing. You know this by now. Anybody that's listened to us, that's always my thing. Like, how much do we allow? Because once they allow a certain degree, there's no going back.
That's
There's no. That's it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not about, not wanting to catch these people who are, committing heinous crimes to people, or, participating in some kind of human trafficking, or, abuse of children. It's not that. My fear is that that's not their true intention. That their true intention is to spy on their constituents, or to, I shouldn't, heaven forbid I said that, but to, if they're doing it for control or for whatever reason, if they're doing it for the same reason that he left Russia, like, then it's like, no, dude, you can't do that. You can't just I'm not just going to fold like Zuckerberg. You can't just big dog me and, gain access to my application because you're the man.
Yeah, I worry for Elon Musk, honestly, because how long before they come after him?
I don't know. That dude's got a hog on him. I don't know if he's ever going to fold. And
I mean, he's got a hog on him, but this other guy is, given he doesn't have SpaceX or none of that, which we can segue into. He doesn't have SpaceX, but the guy's worth $15 billion, this Telegram guy. And if a guy with $15 billion can still get locked up on frivolous charges, like, what does that mean for us?
They're in Europe, though.
Yeah, they arrested him in France, but I wish we had somebody to fact check me. I believe that the government that was requesting to build the back door was the U.S. government. He says no, and then France arrests him.
Oh, that's
so I think this is one of those things where this is just kind of global elitists, and these are just governments working together to globally control the population. I mean, it's weird. It's weird because he said on an interview a little while back, the guy from Telegram, that he came to America with one of his engineers. They were here on business or whatever, and he brought one of the engineers from Telegram, one of the programmers. They were here. The programmer approaches him, like, within days of them being here, and says that the government approached him trying to hire him behind that guy's back in order to get him to help them create that backdoor kind of entryway in. They were trying to, kind of poach him from there and then utilize him like the Catch Me If You Can guy, when they pulled that guy, and then had him instead of, prosecuting him or whatever, they
Yeah.
they had him help with figuring out the whole counterfeit check market and stuff like that. So this guy says to the Telegram guy, I mean, I don't know how true this is, but this is just his word. He's like, he came to me and said the U.S. government approached him and wanted him to work for them in some capacity related to, you know, coding and kind of that backdoor concept of Telegram.
Man, he helped me cut that dude a check.
Yeah, I think, yeah, right. Give him some loyalty money, right?
Yeah, that's some shit you say to me when we're on the flight home. You don't tell me that. We're in Disney World right now. You're telling me this?
Yeah, bro. You know, it's just it's crazy because, you know, it kind of lifts the veil and it's like, how free are we really?
We're just as free as they want us to believe we are.
Yeah, I mean, how free are we? I mean, it seems to me like there's a lot of the stuff that's done here is not allowed. Governments aren't allowed to do in other countries.
Are you talking about all
I'm
the
like,
taxes?
why?
Are you talking about the taxes that we pay on tax money that we spend on tax products?
Yeah, and then the business that receives the money has to pay tax on it. Like they tax the same dollar 8 different ways.
Yeah. What about all the insurance? Dude, insurance is crazy, dude. I was just talking to somebody the other day and they were talking about how their insurance went up. And they were like, oh, you know, because of all the increase in accidents. And they were like, what accidents? Like, we just got out of COVID a couple of years ago, like a year or two ago. No one's been driving. There's no increase in anything. And I'm like, you know, how is insurance? This person hasn't been in a car accident, doesn't have a blemish on their driving record. And I'm like, there needs to be like a program where if after 5 years of me paying you guys, like, and I haven't used your services at all, the price needs to go down significantly. Like, I'm not,
Yeah.
like, how crazy is it that you can pay this car insurance every single month and never be in a car accident, and then the price will still go up?
Dude, it's crazy for that. And it's also crazy that in states like ours, in New York, you're mandated by law to have auto insurance.
Yeah.
So it's not even like you can opt out of it.
And we live in a no-fault state. So it's not even like when you get into a car accident, like there's not like this, oh, this person's insurance has to pay for it because of this, and that. It's like your insurance will just cover it.
That's crazy. So Big Gulp is saying in here, he said Home Depot lost a shit ton of money because nobody's buying their shit from how expensive it is and nobody's doing DIY projects anymore. New
Yeah.
York and the inspection fees. Yeah, the inspection fees is nonsense. I got to get mine done.
Yeah.
It's just what?
No, for the people at home, because we're not in the studio together. There's like I think there's like a little slight delay and difficulties with. So sometimes if I step on him, I apologize. But the New York thing, yeah, you have to bring your car to this place where some guy tells you, hey, you're safe to hit the streets.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, you got to be on top of your own stuff to a point because if you get there and you need tires or something or you need brakes or whatever, you know, these guys are going to take the sticker off your car, not pass your car, and now you got to pay these guys to either correct it or you got to drive around crazy until you have the money to get it without a sticker on it.
Dude, you know what? My girl one day goes to work, and after work, she, for whatever reason, feels like, hey, although Roberto told me he's going to get my car inspected this weekend, I want to go get it done now. She goes to get her car inspected. What happens? She gets there and she comes home with a list. She's like, oh, I went to go get my car inspected and it failed. Look at all these things I need. And I'm like, honey, none of these things are reasons to fail a car. The New York inspection thing is it's a safety inspection. I was like, so, you know, like mechanical things aren't affected by this inspection. And I take her car, didn't do anything to it, take it to another place, the same place I always go to, and guess what? It passed. Some of these things are like, they're not supposed to be subjective, but no one's inspecting these guys to see if they're doing the right thing. You know, they just, the government
inspecting the inspector. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. No one's inspecting the inspector. I know they sent auditors there to make sure that they're not just selling these tickets, but at the same time, there's nobody there to measure is it like their compliance level? It's like they don't have the little gauge on the tire. They're eyeballing it and saying, nope, too bald. Nope, you need this. Nope, your alignment's off, this or that. And it's just like, dude, just do the inspect. I don't know. That goes back to the point. It's like finding honest people. It's like,
Nah, I agree with you, man.
You okay? My bad, bro.
Nah, you're good. You're good. I just spilled a drink on myself, but I'm good. Below the waist.
You see, Bubby's in the chat. What's up, Papa? He says, I watched a guy get charged $150 for wipers. Dude, that's another. And that's the thing. When you get there, they say, hey, listen, your car's not going to pass. I have to fail you. And you still get charged whether you pass or fail. And then they say, but only thing you need is new windshield wipers. I have the windshield wipers right here, and they're twice as much as they're supposed to be. And then I have to charge you an hour of work to install them. And then like, somebody who doesn't know, somebody who just wants to get in and out of the door, just wants to get their annual inspection so they can hit the streets and just go on with their day or get to their second job because the rent is so goddamn high. They're going to be like, all right, man, I guess just fucking do it because I don't want to fail. Just do it and fix it. And then they pay this money that they shouldn't have paid because this character's dishonest. And, who loses? The little guy. That's who loses.
As always. What else we got, man? Come on.
So it's 7:56. We're approaching the hour. So I'm gonna pull what I think is a good one out of my list. Oh man, this is a good one. Yeah. So I got a couple things. The Rice University student. I'm not gonna talk about that actually. I'm gonna talk about the California hospital mix-up. That's what I'm gonna talk about. A woman goes to the hospital, goes to a California hospital where she gets admitted. Her parents are call the hospital to find out how she's doing, and the hospital tells them that her daughter the woman went AMA against. She discharged herself against medical advice, which the family thought was weird. The family then spends a year looking for this girl. I think it was.
Whoa.
I'm pretty sure it was a year. Looking for her. Only to find out that this woman never left the hospital. She died in the hospital, and they never informed anybody. Not only did they not inform anybody, when the family found out what happened and they wanted to, and they were like looking for the body to identify the woman, they couldn't even find the body, dude. They went to the morgue didn't have her. They went to the hospital didn't have her. It wasn't until later, a few days later, where the hospital called them and tell them, oh, we found the body. It's at one of our off-site morgues. Only to arrive there and find a body that was so far decomposed that it was unable to be identified. They couldn't do fingerprints on. I'm sure there's other methods of identifying the body, but they weren't able to do the traditional simple methods of identifying, like the visual identification or the fingerprint identification. I'm sure they pull one of those molars out there. They'll be able to tell you exactly who it is. But, dude, how crazy is that? Can you imagine your kid goes to the hospital, somebody goes to the hospital, you call the hospital because their phone's going straight to voicemail. You're like, maybe they couldn't charge their phone. I'll call the hospital and get transferred up to the room, see how they're doing. And then you call them and it's like, hey, Joe Schmo? No. John Smith? He's not here. He's out of here. And then you just don't find him?
I want to know, like, my question, where were they keeping that body?
In an offsite morgue. Now the family's suing the hospital for negligence after they told the woman was alive, only to later find out that she'd actually died.
Of course, that's negligence. That's all kind of stuff. I wonder what the cause of death was. They were probably liable in the cause of death and kept it to themselves because there was no next of kin, listed or anything like that.
It was some cardio something.
Cardiomyopathy?
I don't want
to. Who cares what let's not get into that because I have no idea. I'm not a medical person. I have no idea.
Yeah. But it's dude, it is crazy. The whole entire situation is just unbelievable.
Dude, Big Gulp has a good point too. He says nobody's questioning the morgue. Yeah, somebody just she was just in there kind of, for lack of a better word, I mean, you know, rest in peace and God bless the dead, but you know, she was essentially rotting in that morgue. And nobody comes in for a year. Every staff member is coming in and like, damn, we still got number 25 in that drawer, just in there.
They say that she checked out in April of 23. I'm just looking up the article. She checked out in 2023.
I see what you did there.
She checked out. Hey, here's my take on the morgue thing. It's my belief that when they get to the morgue, like all that stuff is already done. It's the hospital's, it's the institution's responsibility to identify who the next of kin is, some family, and alert them of the situation. And based on the fact that they had communications with their kid, I find it difficult to believe that they weren't able to find them. I find it difficult to believe that, especially when this woman called the facility looking for her.
And this is in California?
Yeah.
I wonder how many other people this has happened with. I guarantee that with the level of homeless population over there, I'm sure there's been a ton of homeless people that have passed away over there that they were just like, oh, no next of kin, and it's never come back to them.
Yeah.
That's what that leads me to believe. This seems like this is a practice that's not new. I mean, this is a wild oversight by multiple people.
You want me to give you like the first couple lines of the article?
Sure.
For nearly a year after she seemingly vanished from a Sacramento area hospital, Jesse Peterson's family mounted a frantic search, distributing posters of her and calling any hospital and police department they could think of, but to no avail. But the 31-year-old woman wasn't missing. She had never left the hospital alive. In a lawsuit filed this month, the Peterson family alleges that the staff at Mercy San Juan Medical Center and
God damn it! Of course, it gotta be San Juan Medical Center. Yo, no relation to Puerto Rico. Get out of here with that.
No relation. Never notified. They were never notified that Jesse had died. Instead, the attorney had told the Times they were led to believe that she had checked out of the hospital against medical advice in April of 23.
Damn, I wonder if she's gonna pop up with a vote for Harris.
You think so? She's gonna
pop up with a vote for Kamala Harris. Look for this name on the list. Telling you right now, that was the plan. See how many other stiffs are in there, and their names are gonna be on mail-in ballots.
That's so funny. Immediately in my head, I'm thinking of people registering their dog to vote. And this snippet I just read is from the Los Angeles Times, so that they get their credit and don't flag our video and take
Chris
it down.
Said San Juan, yeah, she voting Democrat.
Dude, that's so funny. Not the situation. The dialogue that we just had, I thought that was humorous. But yeah, was that's the story. I had a couple other stories about the high price of Ozempic and what was the last one that I had? The Rice University student who unfortunately.
Yo, let's get we could go another 5 minutes.
Let's go a couple more minutes. I want to talk about this Rice University student, traffic death. Essentially what happened was, I'm not even going to read from my notes. I kind of know this one. What happened was a woman's first day of school, I guess people didn't hear from her. The police show up to do a welfare check or a welfare visit on her and end up finding her dead body along with her alleged boyfriend who had a self-inflicted gunshot wound, both dead in the dorm, and the boyfriend left a note, which is insane.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, there's nothing more tragic and more irrational than the behavior of a young person in love.
Oh yeah.
Or in a tumultuous relationship. I mean, I think that's the craziest stuff. I mean, I mean, I'm sure that we've all done stuff out of character in, moments of passion and dealing with a relationship, and that's that's extreme, of course, but you gotta, as a man, you gotta have some emotional self-control. You gotta have some emotional intelligence. You gotta be able to check that. I mean, we've all had those crazy kind of everybody. People could say what they want. We've all had crazy thoughts,
Yeah.
behind the wheel, driving. Like, we've all had that crazy thought that we just checked at. We're like, you can't run over all those people on the sidewalk. It's
You're not allowed to shake that thing, dude. There's rules against that.
Yeah, exactly. You're not allowed to rear end that person in front of you that's going super slow. You're not allowed to sideswipe the guy that's trying to cut you off. You got to have these kind of emotional checks on yourself.
Yeah, you're not allowed to punch a toddler in the brewery.
Yeah, so exactly. So Big Gulp says, I don't know if he says us men need discipline or U.S. men need discipline, because I think both of those are true.
I think it's meant us men, and I couldn't agree more with him. I think it goes to your point where you need to have that level of emotional intelligence and understand, like, remove yourself from situations. And I know this is easy to say, hindsight's 2020. This is easy for me to say. I wasn't in this gentleman's situation, but just like Justin said, we've all been super frustrated with somebody at some point, and maybe have wanted to do things, but that's where you got to step away and be like, hey, listen, let's just be rational. This is a crazy thought that I'm having. We need to be able to identify irrational thoughts in our own mind, and remove ourselves from situations where we want to do things that are irrational.
Exactly. It's you got to be able to kind of flick on that stoicism switch and be like, okay, let's figure this out. But this is why I don't really subscribe to the idea that all men should express themselves and express their feelings and stuff. Like, who's expressing their feelings? School shooters. That's who's expressing their feeling, and they're always guys. So let's not do that. Let's say, don't express yourself in the moment. Wait a minute, think about it. Maybe bounce it off a buddy. Maybe if he would have called his friend and been like, listen, I'm about to drive to my girl's dorm and body her and kill myself. His buddy probably be like, whoa, let's not do that, Bobby. Why don't you meet me for a beer?
Yeah.
And let's talk about this.
Where are you right
now? It's not that serious.
Stop at Starbucks, get me something, and turn around.
Yeah, where are you right now? Like, that's, again, this is why we need friends. This is why we need, if I was going to do something crazy like that and I called you, you'd be like, wait a minute. Come to my house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
100%. That guy should have had a sponsor.
Yeah, come train. I'm going open mat. Like, there are answers to these kind of things in that
100%.
You just got to have that support system, and and which a lot of young men don't have now. They made shit weird.
Yeah,
for young men, but no excuse, of course. I mean, this guy's in complete savage for doing that.
100%. And he took the easy way out. Chris says, yeah, I had a crazy thought. Only a 3? Who am I kidding? I'm worth at least a 5. And then looking for a rich 5.
In the sweet spot, man.
He says, still looking for a rich 5 who needs a sugar poppy.
Bro, if I find a rich 5 that needs a sugar poppy, and I'm not her flavor, I'll let you know, man.
Dude, a rich 5 could be a 6 1/4 with the right amount of richness. Depending on how rich she is, money's worth some points.
Oh yeah, for sure. It'll bump her up, but she can't give off the aura that she's the one with the money. She's got to let me pretend here a little bit. She's got to let me drive the Benz. You know what I mean? You can't. I'm not going to be in the passenger seat of the Benz. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing that. I'll get in the back, and you could be my Uber driver, but I'm not going to be in the passenger seat. Absolutely not.
And he says, does that mean if she's rich, she's really a poor 4? I think that there needs to be you get a score, and then you get the score with the curve. I think we add the curve at the end. Similar to when you're getting a mortgage, you could buy points. I think a woman looking for a sugar poppy hitting the streets, we're going to grade her with her traditional score, and then we're going to grade her with a curve as well, where we include her assets, right? And the assets, they could bring her up, I don't think it's crazy to believe that a woman could buy 3 or 4 points depending on her wealth, I think Nancy Pelosi, she could afford, 4 or 5 points.
Yeah, I mean, she could buy her way in with some points. I don't disagree with that. Bubby's over here, and he said with inflation, might be a 7.
Yeah,
we might have to adjust that point system for inflation.
Yeah. Is she a New York? Yeah, are we talking about a New York resident? because that might be worth more. Very difficult to succeed out here. Everything's very expensive. So, they say a California 10 is a Miami 6. So I think that when you're looking at these metrics, I think it's important to intake the whole picture: location, age, wealth. All these things are very important.
Yeah, I mean, we got a good question here from Big Gulp. He says, so does a woman have more value if she's really rich or if she's willing to bear children and cook dinner? So,
I'd
what's
rather
more valuable?
So to me, I think it's more valuable to bear children and like them. I'm not really looking for a rich woman.
Yeah, same for me. I mean, I think that goes depending on the person, but I think, most men, if they sit and really think about this and they have a mature mind and stuff, they're probably going to say the latter. That's
Yeah.
what I would think. I mean, to me, a rich woman's just going to argue with me. I ain't trying to argue. Like,
Well, she also has
you know what I'm saying?
control of you too, and I think that naturally, like, people don't enjoy being controlled, and the last thing you want to be is in this situation where you're essentially like, you're not going to get all the freedoms in the world. Like, there's going to be times like where you're disciplined, and the only way to discipline you is to remove, like, to cut your credit card up or something like that. You do something wrong, and she takes the license plate off the Bentley. So, that if that's their only form, if that's what they're holding on over you, that's their only form of power, you better believe that when, things get rocky, they're going to use it against you.
Facts, man. I mean, Big Gulp is over here. He's like, I need control of my assets. Yeah, I feel you, man. You gotta have a little bit of control of your own thing, but I mean, to each his own. Everybody's gonna have their kind of perspective on that.
Yeah.
You want to touch on Ozempic?
Real quick, I just wanted to say that forgot my joke. Nah, the Ozempic thing isn't that crazy. I could
There was one thing I thought was crazy about it because, anybody that, unless you're living under a rock, you understand the concept of Ozempic. Ozempic was initially a drug for diabetes, but, it also causes weight loss, along with a bunch of side effects and problems. But of course, Americans like the easy way out. Nobody wants to get off their ass and go train or go run or stop eating ring dings. So they'd rather just inject themselves in the gut and lose weight that way. So, whatever, to each his own. If that's what you want to do you, But in this article that you sent me about the skyrocketing price of Ozempic and the high price in the U.S., the company that makes it was stating their defense to the price of it was how much money they're saving the U.S. in obesity, like avoiding the cost on the U.S. healthcare system related to obesity.
Yeah.
So, their argument again lies in a business perspective. It lies in saving money. It doesn't lie in what's best for the people and best for the patient. And this is why the U.S. healthcare system makes me sick in a lot of ways. Not literally, but, it just is a disgusting industry because that's the main thing that is at the top of everybody's list is how much money are we going to save or how much money are we going to make?
Yeah, you nailed it. The manufacturer Ozempic is justifying the high prices of the drug in the U.S., which is crazy that there's even like a difference in like the prices depending on where you are. Arguing that the cost of to fund the essential research to combat obesity, this comes from the aimed growth of public scrutiny over the drug pricing in the U.S. And then you're right. Within the article, I also read that they're saying that they're going to save money and that they're, hey, listen, I think that. Do you feel the same way about Ozempic as you feel about people who get the gastric bypass? Is it a similar, do you get a similar feeling when you think of both of these methods that individuals use to lose weight either rapidly or because it's, it might be their only option because of, from getting so big?
I don't blame the person for getting the procedure or getting the medication at this point. I used to put more of the blame on the person for taking that route But at this point, I blame the medical industry for, kind of, presenting that as the best solution for you. I mean, we've gotten to a point now where doctors are uncomfortable discussing a patient's weight. Where medical staff is now, they're actually, they're urged to avoid words like obese, words like, overweight. Terms like this are now being demonized and being called, discriminatory, or being called, something like that, like bigoted terms. And that is very harmful. Because it's a medical diagnosis. And quite frankly, if somebody's like morbidly or super morbidly obese, this is a medical crisis. So in that regard, if you're having a crazy medical complication based on weight, and then a doctor comes to you with a solution that, like, listen, we'll do this, we'll put you under anesthesia. It's a decent recovery time, but you're going to lose, hundreds of pounds over the course of a couple months. I think anybody in that situation would take that deal.
Oh, 100%.
So I think this
I would.
falls more on the medical staff.
Yeah. If I had gained, 100 pounds, and they were like, hey, listen, we'll do something where you don't have to work out at all, and you'll just lose all this weight, and you won't even be hungry. Yeah, 100%. I'd do it too. You're right. It's the fault of the industry making this like the standard, as opposed to incentivizing, diet and exercise. But I think that
they're normalizing
the
idea of surgery and the idea of medication to be the only solution that you have for your problem. When really, if they just sat there, I think that the U.S. population would benefit more from frequent visits with a nutritionist than frequent visits with a medical doctor. So I've gotten to the point. What's up?
No, go ahead.
I've just gotten to the point where the majority of, I just don't believe anything anymore. If something is attached to a medication, if something is attached to a surgery, if something is attached to long-term medical care being a requirement, my antennas are up, and I'm like, what's going on here? Like, I'm telling you right now, I'm what's today? August 27th. I am currently on 2 blood pressure medications, and I'm in my 30s. My cardiologist is he's not even attempting to figure out why my blood pressure is high. He's just chalking it up to heredity, because a lot of people in my family have high blood pressure. But he's asked me no questions. He hasn't tried to figure out anything about my lifestyle, anything about preventing the hypertension, or, addressing it in a natural way. Rather, he wants to put me on blood pressure medication that I'll be on for life. Now, I'm 37. God willing, I live another 50 years. If that's the case, you're talking about a customer for 50 years.
Yeah.
So why, the model of medicine in this country is so flawed that it's just strictly based on, trying to get a customer for as long as possible. And I think this is why we're allowing the garbage to be fed to the kids, because it's just stretching out, almost like investing. You wish you started investing when you were 8 years old so that you'd have $1 million by the time you're 40. But, instead they want you sick by 8 years old, so that this way they can add, I just got put on meds in my 30s. Imagine they were able to put me on this medication when I was 8.
Yeah,
I'd be on it for a much longer amount of time. They'd make way more money off of me. So I just, there's a lot of it that's just disgusting to me, and I don't believe it.
So let me ask you a question, just to play devil's advocate. Do you believe that this stuff derives from doctors' inability, or these individuals' inability to lose weight the holistic ways or natural ways? Do you think that this stuff comes from years and years of physicians telling people to lose weight and then just not losing weight? And then these things evolve naturally, because the truth is that it just like I know it. You can tell 10 people who are who need to lose weight to lose weight, and you could tell them all that they're going to have negative repercussions if they don't lose weight. And maybe out of the 10 of them, 4 of them will lose weight, and maybe out of 4 of those, 2 of them will keep it off, and 2 of them will jump back up. Do you think that this is just a result of kind of saving people from themselves, because these individuals wouldn't do what it took to lose weight anyways?
No, I think that there's a lot of I know.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Ladies and gentlemen, we might have lost Justin. You think this is I wonder if I'm down too. I wonder if secretly I am also frozen, but in my screen I'm not frozen, so you guys can't see it. Luckily for us, we're 20 minutes over. Can you guys confirm in the chat if Can you guys confirm in the chat that you can see and hear me? That'd be great. Please and thank you. Nah, bro, you're good. Thank you very much. Oh, man. You know what's funny is every time we go over the hour, we get some kind of a technical difficulty. It's hysterical. Even funnier than that, Justin hasn't called me yet or said anything. So I am led to believe that he still believes that he's in. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Justin, if you're listening to me and you're saying to yourself, Roberto, you're an idiot. I know that I froze or whatever, and I apologize. Let's give Justin a call. Let's give him a call. And keep it. My phone's at 4%, guys. Let's give Justin a call.
To an automated voice messaging.
Oh, no. I think his phone died.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize. I believe that his phone died. That's my guess. Either that, there's a couple options. His phone could have died, or, that's it. All right. He's out of here. I think we just conclude, right? I think today was a good episode. Sorry that it ended this way. Justin's definitely rambling right now. No, 100%. He's talking right now to his phone. He has no idea the thing died. All right. So real quick, I'm going to do the announcements. Next week, guess what? Back in the studio, baby. Next week, we're here. Both of us are here, down and dirty, in studio. No more remote episodes for a little bit. Super excited about that. Secondary, if you missed the beginning of this episode and you want to listen to the episode, you can listen to it multiple ways. You can go to the live section on YouTube and look at all of our videos there, or you can listen to it while you work, or while you don't work, while you hide in the closet, while you hide from your wife, while you hide from your kids. If you're eating fast food in the driveway, you can listen to us. You can listen to us on all your podcast listening platforms. If for whatever reason we're not on the platform that you listen to, come onto the Discord and harass us until we place a podcast on your obscure podcast listening platform. Even if we are on your platform, join the Discord anyways. I'll tell you why. It's a good time. A lot of funny things going on in the Discord. A lot of back and forths about the things we talk about. And sometimes we can't post things here, so we post it to the Discord. Let you into the, I feel like the Discord is like the inner circle. If you're in the Discord, you're in our circle. All the OGs in the Discord. Join the Discord if you want to join, if you want to be one of them. And that's it. I don't know. I now have to get up. I got to get up and go over and hit the button to play the music because, actually, no, I don't think I do. I think the music's over here. Let's see. All right. I think the music's over here. I'm going to hit the music over here and I'm going to take us to the smoke show. And that's going to be the end of the episode. Thank you for everybody who stuck around. Please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I hope everybody has a great day. That's it. Bye, guys. Let's see. Did that work? Nope. Didn't work. All right, but this is gonna work. Where is it? Justin's always the one that switches the scenes, or it's producer Twiz. So let's see. Boom. Bye, guys. I'm gonna play the music. I'm getting up now.
Oye, te hablo desde la prisión. Wilson Manyoma. Hormona.
I'm back. Damn it, my phone died.
I just ended the episode. We're in the smoke screen right now. Hold on, we'll cut this out live. Say goodbye to people, Jay. Say goodbye, Justin.
Bye, guys. Damn it. Love you guys. Don't take Ozempic. Go train.